For more, let's bring in Nick Timmeros of the Wall Street Journal. He, of course, on the Fed beat. Nick, I appreciate you joining us. So the president was asked about this by the New York Times, says, quote, "I have in my mind a decision. I haven't talked about it with anybody." He was asked about Hassett directly and said, quote, "He is certainly one of the people that I like." If you were a betting person, would you have your money on Mr. Hassett?
Well, I'm not a betting person, but I think you have, Scott, the two Kevins in front. That hasn't changed. I mean, if you go back 6 months ago, you go back to June, and the president was telling reporters he had made up his mind and he was going to be announcing his pick very soon. That was in June of last year. So I think there's also, sometimes people talk about a first mover advantage. I think there's maybe a last mover advantage here where the last voice gets undue weight here. As an example, my colleague interviewed President Trump last month, 2 days after his meeting with Kevin Warsh, which had gone very well. And Trump said at that meeting that Kevin Warsh was at the top of his list. He then said that both Kevins, he thought highly of. So I don't think a whole lot has changed, Scott, in the last few weeks on this.
Would you be surprised to learn, according to the Treasury Secretary today, Scott Bessent, that, quote, "We haven't yet interviewed Rick Reeder"? Presumably, if he's making that comment when Reeder was believed to be in the so-called Final Five and was also expected, according to some reports, to get an interview at Mar-a-Lago a few weeks ago, something that apparently never happened. Will you be surprised that he wasn't yet interviewed, which would mean, if the president's made up his mind, that he's out?
Well, so Secretary Bessent, I listened to those remarks that he made, and he indicated that Reeder was still going to be interviewed. And this whole process that the Treasury Secretary has been running, almost a pageant, has been very effective at sort of pushing back a premature decision, preventing having a new chair who sort of twists in the wind for too long. Because let's remember, Scott, the next chair is going to have his hands full. You're going to have an economy with the cross currents that everybody knows well by now, a committee, a rate-setting committee that is divided over how to manage those cross currents. And every move lower interest rates, you see even greater resistance to continuing to cut. And then a president who is going to demand and expect more interest rate cuts than almost anybody on the committee right now is penciling in for this year. So that's a difficult job, and maybe the longer you wait, the better honeymoon period you might have there.
Theoretically, we're going to know before the next meeting who the next chair is going to be. I'm wondering how you think that might complicate, if at all, the decision that might be made by this current committee at the end of the month, whether there'll be some reticence from Jay Powell and others to make a move on interest rates with a new name hanging out there who's going to want to put their own mark on policy. Do you feel there's any relationship between those two topics?
I think it really depends on what's happening in the economy. And so if you go back to when Powell was reappointed at the end of 2021, I mean, that was a difficult period for the Fed. They were in a moment where they needed to pivot, and they pivoted right around President Biden's decision to reappoint Powell. So if the economy's doing something unexpected, I think that's where this gets more difficult. Right now, if you listen to everything Fed officials have said this week, last week, so far in the new year, they all seem pretty comfortable holding here as long as you aren't hit with some ugly surprise, say, in the jobs report tomorrow. And so as long as things sort of proceed as expected, it doesn't seem like it's the most difficult thing to have a lame duck chair. This is a committee that still is pretty bought into Powell. I don't think that this is really a big issue so long as the economy sort of performs as expected.